Yeah, I've only ever flown Delta, I think.
Your whole life?
Yeah, I think maybe I caught one American Airlines like one time, but that's amongst like 40 Delta flights or something.
I've had horrible experiences with American, and I've flown them a handful of times. I usually do Southwest or Delta.
Delta's my favorite. I love Delta. I like everything about Delta. Kitty's got a peanut allergy. Delta doesn't do peanuts, so like that's like step one for why we do it. But also like they got a good reward program. Atlanta's their hub. Half of the Atlanta airport is Delta. It's like you're either North Terminal or South Terminal. If you're in North Terminal, you're at an airline. If you're in South Terminal, you're at Delta. Like everything else is North.
If you fly Delta from Atlanta, you can probably find a nonstop flight there.
Yeah, absolutely. Almost always. Yeah, it's great.
That's not true in Raleigh. In Raleigh, everything is like first you hit Charlotte, first you hit Dallas, Fort Worth, and then you get somewhere else. Everything has a stop. Well, almost. So the Raleigh airport broke the other day. Apparently it rained and all the computers went down and all the flights stopped. All the lines backed up. This won't mean anything to people, but it was like out of the building into like where you drop people off. The lines were up. It was crazy.
The computers went down for rain?
Yes. Well,
they canceled all the flights. Oh, flooding. Okay.
Yeah, the computers literally got water damage, I think.
Did you see what happened at the Atlanta airport? It was the Atlanta airport where the gun went off, right?
Yeah. Did that guy get away? So the guy had a gun in like security. And then instead of being like, oh, I can't believe I left it there, he grabs the gun, accidentally fires it, runs for it, and gets away.
Yeah.
Get away.
He got away.
Did they ever ID?
He had a gun. What were they going to do?
As far as I can tell, he just accidentally fired the gun to be like, oh, shoot it through there. He gets it and he runs. They don't know who he was. I guess his bag didn't have any identifying stuff in it.
But you have to get through the scanner guy.
He wasn't through it yet. Oh, I guess I don't know. I'm not sure. But he got the gun and he ran away and he exited the airport grounds. And last I heard, they were trying to ID him. Now there's cameras everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
How could they not ID him? But does anyone have an update to that?
Yeah, I had never heard that story. That is wild. He just brandished a gun and then ran away after firing it.
It's wild. The whole thing is wild.
So the TSA wasn't there to tackle him to the ground?
No, not even a little bit.
I don't blame them. They probably don't make enough to tackle someone to the ground with a loaded gun. No one does.
No one does.
At least found the gun. I guess he ditched it.
Probably all
at the airport. Shucks, there's a paywall on this.
He was a felon. Okay.
Oh no.
So he was in real.
Not one of my people.
I feel like with an airport, they could find someone pretty easily.
Is the Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport like the big one, the one you would go to?
Yeah,
Kyle?
that's the one.
That's the one. Okay.
He's in a lot of trouble. Like I think possession of a firearm by a felon is
and firing it in an airport.
It's like 5 years, maybe 10 years. It's like 5 though, I think for sure. It's not good. But then like the whole like having it in the airport and having it go off. I mean, if he wasn't
allowed to have it.
You're allowed to have it. It's the felon thing. That's what I was going to say. It's like I think he'd be all A-okay. I think like if Taylor did this, he's probably 100% okay. Like maybe you pay a fine for like reckless. I don't know.
In 2014, Georgia passed a law that allowed concealed weapons at airports and areas outside screening checkpoint. So prior to passing through security, you're allowed to carry your concealed carry in Georgia.
Correct. Yeah.
But the felon
I
thing,
wouldn't do it.
It's going to be a problem. Stupid. Yeah, well, eventually you're going to pass security.
Like, you're going to throw your gun away?
They're really expensive guns. Like, yeah, you don't want to do that.
Yeah, and there's like, I've said this before. This was years and years ago. I went through for a work trip, and I had like a backpack, I had my laptop and a few things in, just a day trip. And I got through, and I forgot I'd taken that backpack hunting like months and months prior. And so I had 2 magazines for a handgun with not a gun in there, just the magazines. And like when they went through, they pulled me aside and they're like, "Hey, you can't have this stuff." And like in my head, I'm like, "Oh, I'm in like the most trouble. I broke the rules around the airport with sure there's no gun here. It's just 2 mags full of 9mm ammo." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, well, what do I do? And she's like, you're going to want to get back in line and just throw both of these into the garbage. And I'm like,
do you know how much ammunition costs, ma'am?
Yeah,
no, thank you. I'll drive.
These are hollow points.
I asked. I was like, so "Is there a guy or can I leave these here and get them when I come back? I don't want to lose these." And she's like, "No, you just have to go back." And then I'm like, as I was walking back, I'm like, "So just like in the same one that guy just threw his fucking Orange Julius in." Okay, like this is how we're disposing of this according to the
live
TSA.
ammunition.
Yeah,
I used to carry a knife through security so much that I thought you pretty much could. It's a Leatherman. I carry a Leatherman or a multi-tool on me almost all the time. I'm hardly ever without one. And I would just put it in my backpack and have the backpack pass through security. And I must have got through like 12 times in a row. And then when they finally took it, it was like, you're giving me shit about, okay, you can have it. I didn't even consider that trying to get a knife through airport security could get me in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
It was more like, if you're going to be a dick about it, just keep it. And that's not what I said. I was more respectful, but that was my thought. And then I got caught like, I don't know, more often, like 2 times out of 3. And I'm like, well, at this point, I'm just giving away too many Leathermans. I'm not going to do it anymore.
Oh, you know what I heard today? So, at the airport, the little gray tray that you put your shit in, they tested those. Those have the highest instances of viruses and bacteria of anything they had done ever tested in these like studies that they do, much higher than toilet seats. And there's nothing you can do. Because think about it. Everybody's touching them and nobody's washing them.
Why don't they spray them with it?
Ever.
Right?
TSA? Oh, you're surprised TSA didn't go above and beyond to make sure that the gray trays were sparkling clean?
Good point. This is, as soon as you said TSA, I'm like, got it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like the most not to get into a whole libertarian thing, but TSA is a perfect example of like where like you need to get rid of a government thing and get a private organization in there. Like there needs to be someone who's making a profit to like secure our airports and fund our children.
Yeah.
We had a private organization and 9/11 happened.
A private organization post 9/11 then, like with that knowledge, like I mean, a lot of things changed. There was the thing, we weren't going to the thing to do when a plane was taken is do whatever they ask you to do. Because the idea was the longer you keep them on the line, the longer you keep them flying around up there in circles, the longer they're not hurting people. But then they realize, these guys are flying the fucking planes into buildings. That shit'll never happen again either.
But I'm with you. I think in jobs like that, where hundreds and thousands of lives are on the line, there has to be some sort of incentive for them to do a good job.
TSA's never caught a terrorist. And
have you read the percentage of bad shit that gets through?
It's really high.
Yes, absolutely.
There's a reason for that.
I spoke to the TSA one time. They recognized us in the airport, and it was me and some gun guys, and they were talking about that they were hiring people to try to get things through as part of a program. And my friend was like, well, we have a lot of ideas about that because these are guys who build guns and make guns and build explosives legally and make all kinds of explosive devices. He's like, oh yeah, I'd love to be part of that. He's like, I could totally get something in the handle of this carry-on here. I could put enough plastique inside this to blow the window out of the air. He's going through all these like nightmare scenarios, and they're like, could you come in on Tuesday? And he's like, nah, we're working. See you later.
Yeah.
But I would have loved to have done that.
But you need some of those people.
Yeah.
I think you need because what I read scared because I fly almost every weekend. I was like, man, I wish I hadn't fucking read that because I'm high on planes. I'm nervous enough. You know what I mean? I don't need to read the article about the percentage of shit you can get through.
It's just not a thing humans are good at. The problem is all the people that don't bring weapons, right? Oddly.
Yeah.
If I were to give you the task of looking at suitcase after suitcase after suitcase after backpack, and nothing happened, clean. And then 1 in 5,000 had a bomb. 1 in 50,000, 1 in 250,000 is probably a realistic number. You would probably not catch the 1 in 250,000 because you just go numb from the 249 some.
Have you ever seen, like, I've seen this before, and I don't assume they're catching anything anyway, because if you ever got a good look at the crew at TSA, it's like this is not an elite task force
I wonder if
assigned
they pay
to
well-ish.
like.
right?
I bet they're probably similar to like DMV employees, something like
yeah,
that.
I don't think it's great.
The
I don't think
quality
it's
of the employees seems, similar in that regard.
They seem
But
very
I've also
unhappy.
noticed it where like
Yes.
they like they're the guy who sits behind the little shield and he presses the button and you see everything going on his screen
Yeah.
with like the bright neon lights. I've seen it multiple times. Like the guy has the finger on the button as things are scanning through, and he'll like turn and like talk
Somebody-
to
somebody
another
comes up and talks
employee,
to him.
and shit's just going
Yeah.
through.
Yeah.
And it's like, if I were a terrorist, you would have just let me hear. Like I'd be fine.
You are a
Like,
little
you-
swarthy.
I am
I
a
had
little
a-
swarthy, so you gotta be careful.
And I feel like it's one of the if I had a group of terror cell, I would use this little tip that I noticed one time. Like a girl, I flew a girl in to see me, and she had her sex toys in a bag, and I guess they like popped up on the screen, and the lady's like, "What's in here?" And she goes, "Butt plugs," and the lady just kind of went, "All right."
Yeah.
All right.
I know
Like she
guys-
wanted no part. She wanted
one
no
of-
part of it.
A
All
fun
you need
little
is an
practical
explosive
joke.
magic wand, and you
Yeah.
got something.
A fun little practical joke when you're traveling with somebody is to put a dildo in their carry-on when they don't know, so it gets flagged, and then they it's so fun to do. You've never put a dildo in somebody's carry-on
I
and
don't
have
have
them just-
dildos offhand to be tossing into bags.
you just
They're
get a box
more
for the
expensive
occasion,
than they
man.
should be.
Not for a joke. The commitment, you know what I mean? It's got a battery in it. It's so funny.
It's got a battery. You
That
turn it on
happened-
right before.
Destiny, I think the most anti-government, like the closest I've ever been to just saying fuck it and converting to be a sleeper cell for ISIS was also at the ATL airport.
Yeah.
Something about that place, just like the single file line that they make you march past the drug dogs just to get in.
One at a time, walk slowly, eyes forward. Yeah, holy shit. It's some dystopian shit.
I was triggered as fuck. That was horrible. I'm
One of
glad I
the-
didn't have my Twitter then.
One of the most traumatizing have you ever seen like the clear lines where you can like pay like $200 a year and you get like expedited or expedited fucking shit through the airport.
Pre-approved
I
or
went
something.
to if you've ever flown out of SeaTac, Seattle, Tacoma, or whatever, the airport in Washington, the big one in Seattle. I went into this airport for my flight, and again, I try to show up to these like at least 1 or 2 hours early because I know that these can be bullshit. And this airport has, when I walk in, 2 of the longest lines I've ever seen. One line is at that end of the airport going this way, and then the other line is at the other end of the airport going that way. So I'm like, holy shit. So I walk through, get my boarding pass, and I walk to this one long line. And it's actually goes from one end to the other. So I walk all the way to the back of this fucking line, and it goes around the corner. And I'm like, what? And I turn the corner, and I walk to the end, and I turn to the right. And both lines that I saw, it was actually just one fucking line. They went all the fucking way around the airport. And I walked to the front and I said, how much for that clear shit? And I fucking bought it and I felt like a loser. And I walked to the fucking front with everybody in that line, because when you do it, whenever you have like those passes to the front, everybody looks at you like,
Oh, yeah.
rich
Yeah,
piece of
I'm
shit.
one of
And I'm like,
those
yeah,
guys.
fuck, get me the fuck out of here. Okay, just send me through. I don't give a fuck. Holy shit.
I was in a long
Oh, my
line. This
God.
is only a few months ago, like April. And the security line was way longer than it normally is for Raleigh's airport. All right.
Mhm.
I'm nervous I'm going to miss my flight. I don't have a ton of time. It's like 7 to 8 a.m. And I'm just like, fuck. Like, I'm not sure I'm going to make it. And this guy comes, and he's obviously nervous, too. He's all stressed and anxious. And he's cutting in front of everyone. He's just walking through the security line instead of waiting in the security line. But everyone's letting him do it. And I see him coming my way because I'm deep in the line at this point. And I'm like, everyone's just going to we're all in this like tacit agreement to let this guy cut. And he gets to me. I put my hand on his shoulder and I say, whoa, whoa, whoa. What are you doing? And he's like, I'm going to miss my flight. I'm going to miss my flight. And I was like, what time is your flight? It was also at 7 a.m. I show him my ticket. And I'm like, get in the line. You're not special. And he did. He went all the way to the fucking back of the line because he.
Oh, this is the kind of thing I like to fantasize about. And everybody cheered kind of moment.
No.
People always talk about like in these like killer moments, like where there's a mass shooter, there's a bank robbery, like you'd run forward and you would like do the heroic thing.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I
Oh
lost him.
no. Yeah, no, there
Somebody
was
broke in. The FBI finally got him. Mom threat.
one bomb threat too many. No, there was nothing heroic about it. He was a
Oh, Woody, there is. Don't downplay it. That is very to stand up to a line cutter and tell them to go fuck themselves. They'll sing songs about you.
He wasn't American, and I think that may have been like part of why everyone gave him a pass except me. Like he just seemed like he was Asian. He seemed like a confused, rushed Asian guy, and I think they all had sympathy on him except for me. I was just the biggest asshole in line, I guess.
You're moving again, Destiny.
Oh, thanks. Okay.
Yeah,
What
I was.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh,
you,
go ahead,
you were just about to say something about those go off moments.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, people always pretend that they'd be heroes in these moments, but most people can't even bring themselves to, like, I'm gonna tell my neighbor to be a little bit more quiet, right? Like that. You open the door and their heart starts fucking racing, and you knock on the door and you're like, I'm gonna fucking tell him. And some guy opens the door and it's like, what? And you're like, can you please just be a little bit quieter? And it's like the most action that these people have had in their entire lives. Yeah.
Yeah. And what's the one of those you guys think about the most? Like the line one is classic. Shutting down a butter in line, shutting down a family of Italians at a restaurant. That's a fantasy I have. Getting them to rise the
A
volume.
family of Italians. I had to process that for a second, but yeah, I could see them all yelling at each other.
One at a time,
all over the place.
You know, yeah, just wine, pasta all over.
I've
You're also
probably
at an
told
Italian
this
restaurant.
before, but so again, I'm at an airport. This is a long time ago. I'm probably 24 or something like that on a business trip. And our airplane gets delayed, but like by a lot, 6 hours or something like that. And there's this group, I don't know where they're from, like one of those less successful European countries, Slovakia maybe, I don't know. And they're all yelling at each other. And they're just like, it's just animated conversation in another language, and they're surrounding me all over the place, right? Like they dominate this waiting room. And they're like, partying, yelling, arguing. Several of them broke out a musical instrument, and they're playing that together. Like it wasn't a guitar.
That is beyond rude.
It wasn't a guitar. It was like a smaller guitar and more rounded and shit. And I'm like, just like reading or something. I think I had a book. And then they start arguing against each other, and they're pointing their fingers like to get on each other, but they're sitting on my left and my right. And they had their hand in between my eyes and my book as they're pointing at each other. And that's what it took. I was just like, dude, come on. Like that was when I broke. And I was like, this is outrageous. You guys are yelling, you're screaming, now you're in my space. And then he made me feel like an asshole for like, I thought I had the high ground here. But then he starts apologizing, and he apologizes so furiously. I feel like this is a tactic that maybe in his culture is more commonly employed.
What are they, like Eastern European or something?
Something like that. Yeah, call them Croatian. I don't know what the fuck they are. But so he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And he starts apologizing on behalf of everybody else there, his family, how he's disturbing. And now I'm like, dude, like it's okay.
If you put the tambourine away, we're even.
Yeah, no, it starts making me apologize for not being okay with him clearly being outrageous.
Dude, playing an instrument in public like that while you're trying
a couple of them.
That's even ruder than people who like wear their headphones on their neck and blast music out of it. And it's like, you're wearing the thing that lets you do this. Come on, man.
You joking about the tambourine, but you're close. Like there was some sort of guitar variant, like a jar with beads on it that they're shaking, like a maraca type thing. Like
they brought a jar with beads. These people suck.
They really did, but it's kind of funny.
Yeah, that is funny though. Like I don't remember what comedian it is. Or actually, no, it might be John Mulaney, who is like the time between when you see a band set up in a public space and then they start to play as like the slow motion in a movie where you're like, no, like the mariachi band's about to fucking go off. I hate music in public. Should be illegal.
I like live music. I don't know why I didn't this time. Maybe because it was just a mess. But yeah, if I see, even if like that guy that brings the guitar to the party and gets all the attention, I'm like the guy giving him attention. Do you know Wonderwall?
Oh, we found one. Holy shit.
Yeah, I'm the one. I can't play, but I'm the guy that likes it.
We were
You're
about to
ruining it for
pack it up forever until this guy came over.
He comes to every party hoping Woody will be there. That guy, maybe he'll be here this time. Oh well, fuck it.
Do
Here
you
I
see
go.
Damn. Guess we'll have to keep doing this at all public functions.
So Woody finally goes to a party again.
Yeah.
The only way to stop that is to go to a system like they have in fucking Israel, where the inspection, where the searches begin before you even get to the airport. You're driving down the road. Oh, let's all stop at this stop point right here. Everybody here is heading to the airport. They all need to be searched before they start getting into a crowd, getting into a line full of people to start checking their bags. It's too late by that point.
But I've heard
So-
the Israel security it's real interesting. First of all, it takes more talent to be an Israeli security guy. Like in America,
they're not the TSA.
Yeah, in America, they just hire some lowest common denominator dude. They give him a tool that gives them X-rays, and they look for shit. That's our.
We're not exaggerating for the, I don't know if this is a global thing that globally people are aware. The TSA, the people, the like security at our airports in America, the ones who like make sure bags don't have weapons in them and that, you know, we don't have 3 ounces of liquid or more. They are terrible. They are McDonald's level employees. And I'm not exaggerating.
I was looking for a descriptor.
Unbelievably-
McDonald's level is
yeah.
ideal. That it's
So
think
inept.
about who's working at McDonald's. Maybe some. I can't even say anything. I feel like I'm bad, but you just lowest common denominator, stripe of society. The McDonald's staff. That's who's TSA.
Unsophisticated, uneducated, dull people. That's
They're
what they
people
are.
who shouldn't have the authority to ruin entire vacations for you.
They shouldn't have the authority over a fucking dog. Their authority should stop at tartar sauce.
I was gonna say I will grant them French fry authority. I think that that's where they should be. And so anyway, what was I saying? But in Israel, like they ask telling questions. They ask some guy like, "Hey, are you Jewish?" And he says, "Yes." And they're like, "All right, where was your bar mitzvah?" And the guy was like, that's a pretty clever question because someone who's not Jewish wouldn't be able to like really come up with the snappy answer. It would be, I don't think I could. Like, Taylor, where was your bar mitzvah? You got one handy?
Karesh Shalom.
Is that a real thing?
No. But see?
But it was.
It sounds Jewish. Yeah.
Well, if I'm Jewish, I might see through that.
Yeah, but if it was someone from Israel, they would be like, yeah, you're making that up. How do you know? Because I'm a Jew.
Yeah, right.
Fuck.
Because you
Damn. Foiled. I didn't anticipate you'd know Hebrew better than my fake Hebrew.
Because you just said that your bar mitzvah was at like chicken feet, and that's not a thing. But anyway, they were
Then
asking
you tell some terrible story about how the Palestinians like killed your rabbi on the day of your bar mitzvah, and how since then you've vowed vengeance against they'll be like, oh right, fucking stamp, fucking move along.
So they catch you like miles from the airport. They interview you. They ask you questions that require some level of thinking. They're not all standard questions that you could prepare for. That's a big part of their security layer. Whereas here, it's like, hey, did someone else pack your bag? Oh, you got me. Like, I can't possibly imagine how to get past this one. It's the illusion of security. That's what we do here.
No, I think that's actually pretty fair. Why do the dead get off before we do? They're getting off down there, like, but underneath
Is that really
the
a
plane.
thing? I've never seen that.
Yeah, they'll take the caskets out first, and you all have to wait on the plane. But it's like they're not impeding us from getting off. Now you're just putting a damper on my spirits, remembering that we're fighting in a war that none of these good folks had to die for in the first place. Just let me get in there and buy a $9 fucking pretzel from Auntie Anne's and forget this in a bath of butter and sugar and salt.
Those are good pretzels.
They're so good. You can taste like the amount of butter. Like I feel like they make those pretzels, and you know how you use just like a whole stick of butter sometimes on your corn cob, and you rub it down, and you can see the middle of it forming and everything. I feel like that's what they do with
A
those
whole
Wetzel's
stick of butter,
pretzels.
Taylor?
No, like I'll say that you don't put a whole stick on there, but you take the stick of butter
Oh,
and
I
you
have
start
done that.
rubbing it on the outside. I think that's what they do with those Wetzel's pretzels because it's just
They're
magnifique.
fucking amazing.
When's the last time you had one?
I may be glorifying it because it's probably been 3 or 4 years.
Oh,
honestly.
okay. I to me, it was coming from a place of recency. It's why I asked.
No, those stay in
remember
my
them being
memory
great.
forever. I like airport food most of the time.
So
Like-
expensive.
It's really expensive though. Yeah, yeah. Drinking at the airports it's crazy expensive. If you're trying to get drunk before the flight, that gets ridiculous.
Do you ever get
Oh,
air
yeah.
sick?
No,
I've never been
never.
airsick before. No.
no, nothing like that. I only get sick from like spinning.
I think if I drank before a flight, it'd get worse. I'd be awful.
I like to
Yeah.
sleep on the flight, and a few drinks definitely helps that. So I'll have a couple before I get on the plane. Have one more on the plane. Get my oversized pillow that I bring from my own bed wedged up into that wall. I bring an enormous pillow, and I just like that I don't have to like lean my head all the way over here. It's just like
There's a girl
Pillow.
printed on it. It's one of those body pillows you snuggle with.
yeah, my wife. Yeah, and no,
Wife.
it's just my wife. It's just an enormous gel pillow, and it's one of the ones that stays cool all the time. Like the cool side of the pillow is the best side, and mine is always fucking cold, like almost too cold. It's wonderful. It's a wonderful thing.
Hmm.
Yeah, I bring that bitch on the plane though. That's my carry-on.
Is it
if they
heavy?
ask a
A
question.
gel pillow?
Yeah, it's not light.
It's not like a regular pillow. It's heavy.
No, yeah, it's. I wouldn't say. I would guess it's a solid 8 pounds. Like it's not like 20 or 30 pounds or anything. Like it's not strenuous. It's still a pillow, but it's definitely got some heft to it. If you get in a pillow fight with this, they're gonna know they got hit.
I sleep on the plane, but the thing is, I have sleep apnea, right? Kyle, you've heard me sleep, right? I used to do movie nights and stuff. I sometimes I'll wake up and I'll be like, what happened while I was asleep? Like, was the whole plane watching? How loud was I snoring on this? This is are you just all being polite and I didn't just snore insanely super loud?
You you're probably better now that you've got the CPAP or the BPAP or whatever it is. But
I mean, I'm better when I use it. I don't think it cures you though.
bring that bitch on the plane. I'm sure nobody will mind that at all.
It's super silent. It wouldn't.
Oh, that's a shame. I wish you had the really loud one. My dad actually
did they used to be loud?
I thought my dad's was loud. I don't know. I haven't seen it in years and years.
Yeah, no, mine
Maybe
you
it's
wouldn't.
not. Maybe
you
I'm just
barely hear
imagining
mine
that.
if you put your ear on it. Like it's
Okay,
yeah.
I'm probably just imagining that. I'll never forget that scene from The Sopranos when Uncle Junior's been prescribed one, and he puts it onto the doctor's office, and Tony sees, and he goes, "How many planes you shoot down with that thing?" He looks like a World War II
Yes.
firefighter.
Oh gosh. Dude, I got a story. So that made me feel bad about my sleep apnea. That scene hurt my feelings, right?
Really?
As it would. You know, like he's mocking the guy who's just like, I was going to say you, but me in this case. And it's like, oh, that's just my reality. Well, like a year and a half later, some guy writes me and he has sleep apnea. And he's like, it's awful. I'm not sleeping. It's constant. It's all these things. And he was in a serious relationship with his girlfriend. And one of his big drawbacks, just like one of mine, was that like he didn't want to, I don't know, just look imperfect in front of her when they slept. And I'm like, flip it around. Like, would you like her less if she wore it? And
Yeah.
he said no. I said no. I wouldn't care. Like, it wouldn't be the way. It's just not a way that I measure someone that I'm with.
Yeah, it's that wouldn't fly. That's not gonna work.
Kyle's girl's got to have 10 fingers and a wide throat.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ! I don't know where we got to that.
Wide throat? I
She's
think
gotta be
that's
able to
literally
breathe.
what makes you snore, but I am, just sort of like,
I was thinking of. I thought you were going for oral sex somehow.
bitches.
No deviated septum
Yeah.
having bitches. No, none of that. No.
And I can make fun of that because I am a deviated septum American. Yeah. We're a proud people. And sometimes we have whistly breathing.
I have everything. I have a deviated septum. I have, I guess, maybe a big tongue and like a narrow throat. Like I went to a ENT and I was like, I want the surgery that stops snoring. I've told this before. And he's like, nope, you snore for like 6 different reasons. Even if I went in there, you'd still be like mostly bad.
Yeah.
Medically, you're what we call totally fucked. There's
My
too
dad
many,
loves him. It was
comorbid
it was life changing for him because he had snored for 55 years or something like that of his life. And growing up, his bedroom door would be closed, down the hallway to my bedroom. My bedroom door is closed, and I could still hear the crazy loud snoring. And his bedroom was really big, so like it actually like came into play with noise carrying from his actual bed across his bedroom, through that door, down the hall. Like we're probably almost 100 feet apart, and there's 2 doors. It was absurd. It was absurd how loud he was. And like whenever we would go on some sort of a vacation or something, and I would have to share a room with him. Oh, fuck me. I remember like we traveled to Griffin, Georgia to compete in this sporting clay shooting tournament one time when I was maybe 17, and I was just like, well, I guess I'm not getting any sleep tonight. I will I'll be good and fresh in the morning for the competition, I guess. I had a lovely charcuterie board on the flight over, so that was cool. The flight was
flexing on poor Taylor.
Wow.
Yeah, we landed in Denver, and I was excited I was high when I landed because I smoked Delta 8. So like I smoked Delta 8, which is legal in Georgia but illegal in Colorado. So before I got on the plane, I just got real good and high. And when I landed, they couldn't get the bridge to attach to the plane.
Oh no. That's
for almost an hour. We sat there, and they had already taken the luggage out. So now it's kind of weird moving the plane because the weight distribution is all wrong. And they're like they're tail heavy, he said. And so what they need to do is leave this terminal and go to a new one that has a better like bridge attachy thing, whatever that thing's called.
I hope they told everyone to walk to the front.
Attention,
You
passengers.
refund, sir. We're
Not
gonna
up here
need
with
you
me.
to come to first class.
We are going to need everybody to jump on 3.
We sat there for 45 minutes, and you ever see like a professional struggling with their area of expertise?
Yeah.
And you want to be like, hey, do this, but you're like, but I'm not an airline pilot, am I? Turns out I'm not a cardiologist. Maybe I'll let him make the incision. But I was sitting there like, why don't we just pull forward a little? An hour after we've been sitting there, he goes, we're gonna try a little maneuver here. He pulled forward 2 feet and it hooked up. I swear to God this happened. He pulled forward 2 feet and hooked us up, and we all got off the plane.
That sucks. So just
I
an
wonder
hour
who
of your
was
time wasted.
responsible for you not being pulled far enough. Was it the pilot? It was probably the guy on the ground with the flashlights.
I don't know, but like my the guy sitting next to me, his wife was actually in the terminal, so she was taking pictures so you could see the outside like viewpoint and sending them to him. And they're like 2 guys on top of the plane. The pilot's like looking out of the window. He's got the windows open, and they're just yelling at each other. I don't know what the fuck happened, but when I finally got on the ground, I was so happy that was just over, that I was just off that plane, because it didn't seem like we were going to get off. It seemed like they were just going to turn around and take us back to Atlanta.
We're
With no
trying to
luggage.
maneuver. We're going to go back to Atlanta.
Turns out being tail heavy makes launching easy.
Yeah.
Turns out we have someone who illegally brought not the product, but they were high on Delta 8 right now. We're flying. We're going to parachute them off at an Alabama penitentiary.
You weren't high when you landed, were you?
Yeah.
The good times were over.
Yeah, I'm sure.
No, they were still going.
Oh yeah, I was still high. Yeah, I was still high when I landed. Yeah, for sure. Just no tolerance whatsoever, and everything lasts longer too. So that's been interesting. But yeah, I don't know when I sobered up. I do know that. So I'm going to do everything in Colorado time. I think we finished the show at about 9 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
I had to be at the airport at 4 a.m.
So you got 7 hours to recoup.
But it's an hour drive according to my phone. Turned out it was only like 30 minutes, but the driver was like, "Is it okay if I just run a few errands?" And I was just like, I was so high, I agree.
What a bizarre driver.
She's like, I need to gas up, and I need to
to
do
go to
this
the
and
bank.
that. I'm gonna stop by she stopped by the Dollar General or something like that.
And you're just so high in the
I'm
back.
just in the back of the car.
Are you in the parking lot by yourself in the back of an Uber, high as shit?
And just like when you got a kid in the car, she's like, "You want anything?" And I'm just like, "No, I'm good. I'm just high, I'm just so high right now. I hope you eventually get me to the airport." But yeah, when I walked out the door to go to the airport at, I believe, 3 a.m., like something like that, 3 or 4 a.m., somewhere in there, the guys were like seeing me off. We were all outside. I smoked cigarettes when I'm on vacation. I smoked my final cigarette of the vacation, and I was out there, and I just remember looking at the guys and just being like, I'm so fucking high right now. They're like, you got this. I'm like, give me my drink. They're like, give me my drink. I'm like, finish the cigarette and throw it on the ground. I'm like, all right, goodbye. And then goodbye. I stagger into that fucking car, and so began my morning. And it felt like a day's travel just getting to like the airport, like through security and everything. like every step of the way, there's this dumbfounded, stoned brain moment where it's like, travel documents. I need travel documents.
Well, I got my boarding pass. What's that other thing? All right, everybody else has their license out. I'm going to do that. Like, I'm really leaning on like looking around and seeing what everybody else is doing, like a child or something like that. I'm like, is this one of the ones where they take the shoes off or no? Shoes off? Yeah, shoes off. All right. Meanwhile, you like are looking probably like sweaty, like you died and someone reanimated you with a spell.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It was one of the scarier things I've ever done. Thankfully, it went really smoothly.
Yeah.
No.
Well, I think that's the, like, if you're in a country, and look, I don't know how things are on the streets there. I've never been, but like, you tend to allow for certain things when your life is much worse. Like, part of the reason why we're able to debate how many genders you can choose from on Facebook is because shit's going very well here overall. Like, that's why we have time to focus on stuff like that now. Where, like, I was talking about, I was complaining about the TSA and how much of our freedoms are infringed when we fly, and et cetera, et cetera. And I was talking to someone who's Israeli, and they were just like, well, I mean, you have to, otherwise, you get blown up. And I was like, well, not really, not here. And she's like, yeah, but here. I was like, okay, all right, I'll stop complaining about this stuff to you. Like, I get you're going through some shit over there.
Yeah. Yeah, their TSA is much scarier, I would imagine. I doubt it's Shaniqua in a pair of pants one size too small trying to waddle over there and get her hands down on your waistband.
Although, I got to say this. So when I flew to Israel, I was very impressed by the El Al security because, like, instead of the standard, like, did anyone else pack your bags for you? Or, like, questions that are so fucking dumb. Like, they were like, so you're going over to Israel? And I was like, yes. And he goes, are you Jewish? And I said, yes. And he goes, where did you have your bar mitzvah? Like, that's a really fucking specific question. Like, that's something that if someone's trying to fool the system, like, they'd have to be really smart enough to just be like, Beth Shalom El, like, just naming.
At the bar mitzvah store.
Yeah.
I am a Jew,
Great price on it.
I swear to Allah. Really need to be there by 3.
May Allah strike me dead here if I am not a Jew. Not here.
I think that I think that security could be improved a great deal. The problem that I have with ours is not that it infringes on our rights as much, is that it infringes on our rights for no fucking purpose. Mm-hmm. Like, it's an Easter egg hunt where I can't tell you how many times when I fly. I mean, I fly all the time. I fly several times a week. I know their rules better than they do, and I can't tell you how often they'll be like, bag check, and I just go, it's business cards. They're like, what? I was like, the block that you see that you don't know what it is in that x-ray, that's business cards, because I fly and I travel for business. And they give me this look like, we know our thing, and then they take it out and they look at it, they open it, it's business cards, and then they just silently put it back. And don't, it's just every fucking time.
Then they have to make up a story well, there was a business card bomber come through, 2 weeks ago.
I want to shut them down quick. I had a girl who was flying in to see me, and she had a whole bunch of sex toys in her bag. And they're trying to go through a bag, and they're like, what's in here? And she's like, butt plugs. And then they're just like, this look of disgust came over Shaniqua's face.
I had the opposite problem. Kyle took me on a vacation. Kyle, where did we go in Arkansas? Can you say the name?
Tier 1 group training ground. They train special forces troops there. They also Maxim produced a show there called Maximum Warrior. So they've got an obstacle course, and it's a massive facility. Lots of real deal military stuff happens there.
That's so weird because I'd imagine the real estate in Arkansas is so pricey. How would they have room for all that?
So I had this thing in LA. They call me up. They're like, "What do you want to swing by here and go to this thing?" Yeah, sure. So I fly back to Arkansas and we go on this weekend of bomb making and shit, right?
Jesus.
So then for the next year, I have bomb residue all over my luggage. It's like this misty powder where they're pouring things, making, so I traveled with all this video equipment, which would make them open it. They'd swipe it for bomb residue.
Yeah.
There'd be bomb residue on it, all sorts of explosive shit. They're testing, and I'm like, yeah, that's because, I had this awesome weekend making bombs.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Alarm. And I just started budging it into my travel time.
I had a TSA guy once try to sell me drugs.
Really? How'd that go?
Where
were the prices okay?
I didn't get that far. He's swabbing down everything, and I was like, "What are you looking for?" At that point, I was just like, "What is this?" And he goes, "Because something set off the sensor." And
he's gotta make sure you're a Jew. Yeah.
What? Yeah. he goes, "Do you have any drugs?" And I go, "No, I don't." And he's like, and I was like, "What could have set this off?" And he goes, could be antibiotics, or could be pills, or, whatever you might need. Not whatever you have, whatever you need. And just kind of gives me a look. And I was like, "I'm good, thanks. Can I just have my bag back, please?"
So he was propositioning you in a around the back way.
Well, I mean,
you're there's $140 in the pocket there. Maybe there's a little meth there when I check next time.
Yeah.
I asked if you had any drugs because it appears that you're fresh out.
You can't sell drugs as a TSA agent with a sign.
No.
Or you can't do it like a scalper does, where you walk by and just real quietly be like, "I got 2. Anybody need 2? I got 2." You have to be creative about it. I applaud him.
Yeah, that's really ballsy. But you can't imagine that guy's actually on the lookout for anyone nefarious, as if he's busy hiding his own drug dealings.
The problem that I have with the TSA, aside from the fact that 10% of them have been arrested for theft, no exaggeration, 10%.
Have you ever had
how many are guilty of theft?
Stolen?
I wonder.
Yeah, I actually had. 9%. So when I was in college, well, they don't arrest them for theft unless they fucking know.
I just mean the ones that didn't get caught, but carry on.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the others, that's the terrifying thing. But so when I was in college, my fraternity brothers got me this really nice fraternity pin as a going away present. And so I had it, and I was going to my fraternity's convention, and so I bring it with me. And that's the only time I ever wear it, at the convention. And so I went there, and it's in this pin box that's buried in this other thing. And so I get back from the convention, and the pin box has been the cushion that you put it in has been turned upside down and put back in the pin box. Ooh, so this didn't fall out. Someone took this out, didn't know how to put it back together. And I mean, the thing's only worth about $80, but it means a lot to me, sentiment. It was a really nice gift. And so I call up the airports I flew through, and I told them, and I was like, "Hey, someone stole jewelry out of my bag." And I was like, "Can you check the cameras?" And they're like, "Well, you'd be surprised at how few areas there are cameras here." I'm like, "I am very surprised."
This is an airport.
I want to work on that.
And they didn't seem to be concerned at all. And finally, I just go, "Hey, man, I know you don't care if I get my stuff back, but do you think that this guy's retiring off an $80 pin? You have a thief working for you. You don't care to find him?" And they just didn't see it as priority at all.
Yeah, that's if you ever lose something in an airport.
I had belts stolen, which is I guess probably a similar price. And it sounds stupid, right? I had 2 belts in my bag for this 10-day business trip, and it was those are the only 2 belts that I have brought with me. Of course, I don't have an extra. So I get there to where I'm going.
One for you and one for the hooker.
Yeah, it's not one to beat her with and one to wear. There you go. And they took my wearing belt and my whipping belt. I had nothing I had nothing. My hands were bruised from beating her all week. It was terrible. But they clearly went in the bag, took those because they were like, I don't know. I'm not like an obsessive packer, but I like put the belts together and like kind of cinched it together and put it in a certain spot. And like, I knew it was there. And like the socks were inside of the O that the belt created. Like, I know they were there. You went in, unzipped, and like, we're like, oh, that's kind of nice right there. You think that looked good on me? Yeah. You were 34, aren't you? Yep, sure. Yeah, all right. Let me get this old piece of shit off. And like, there's some dude wearing my goddamn belt right now at the Atlanta airport. Like,
they should have at least
looking for wearing your pin.
Yeah.
He's wearing your pin, wearing my belt, just stealing drugs.
Trying to sell drugs.
Well, so what I got so sidetracked. But the thing that I hate about the TSA so much is that when they clearly do violate their rules or make a mistake or whatever it is, they will not admit it. They will not apologize. Asking to speak to a supervisor, all the supervisor ever does is be like, well, this is a hard job, and you should know this is a really hard job. Be like, well, yeah, but it's also difficult to get my.
What would you say the hardest part of being a TSA officer? Would you say it's all the stealing that you have going on?
Would you
and
say
all the
it's
complaints that brings to your doorstep? All of the thieves you employ. Those are the.
It's a very difficult part of the job.
Yeah. I think TSA are absolute scumbags. They don't keep us safe in any way. They've never caught a terrorist. They may have kept some terrorists from going and even trying. I suppose that's a possibility. That's feasible for me to believe, I guess. But they've never caught one. And they're never going to catch one.
And the culmination of the bit is that the reason they treat us like such shit is so that even the terrorists are like, fuck this, I'm not flying. These guys
I don't need that kind of disrespect. No.
Fuck these guys.
I'll tell you, when we commit that bombing, we are not flying Delta. You know.
I don't know who said it. It was a different comedian, but they were like, after the shoe bomber came, now suddenly everyone has to take their shoes off to pass through TSA.
Yeah, that guy.
He's like, just once, I hope there'd be some terrorist act that requires, like, for security reasons, for us to get upgraded to first class. You know, and that's their response to it. Everyone gets.
That's awesome. Jay Black has a great bit about blowing up a plane by putting a bomb inside of a crying baby. Like, can't we just have one?
Sorry, babies can't fly anymore. All your holidays are saved. You know,
you gotta check that baby, man. Come here, put it in there.
I also love.
It'll be returned to you at your gate. You know,
it took them like a month before they stopped letting people fly with the Galaxy when it was exploding, and where they would just be like, "Everybody shut theirs off, right? Everybody agreed you shut theirs off." I was
Promise.
Like, I couldn't bring water on this motherfucker. You're letting people bring stuff that explodes and hoping that they shut them off.
Dude, the thing about that is like that was crazy that those phones were doing that, and some of you guys have probably also seen like vape pens. You know, they've got a big similar kind of battery on them that's much more powerful, and those sometimes go off kind of like a flare in your pocket, burning really hot and going crazy. But any phone, and I mean any phone that has one of those LiPro batteries that you can just, if you peck this thing hard enough with a hammer or a sharp thing, then the cells get crushed together and it starts sort of like this chain reaction begins where it's heating up and it's gonna burst into flames. And that's like every single cell phone if you hit it hard enough.
Do not tell people that.
How hard would you have to
hit it? This isn't like top secret.
No, I'm saying don't tell security that. I want my phone. I need my phone.
Yeah.
Be bored. You just have to pierce it, you know, no harder than you hit a nail for sure.
Yeah.
Samsung's got to be fucking hurting.
I got a new one.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I don't know if this is interesting to people, but I found this small one by Gerber. Zach, can you full screen me? It has a bit driver that I use all the time. You can flip it and make it
look at that
square head. It has an itty bitty all thing, which I almost never use, but it has it. Let me get it out. This thing? Yeah. I don't know. To people, it's for like poking leather and stuff. I never need to make small holes. I guess you could open boxes with it, but I'm not really into it. It has scissors, which are big to me. I really like having scissors. Second, I'm working on it.
Yeah, scissors are a handy one on there.
Scissors are super handy. And I like that these scissors, they have like a little spring in them. So they like open on their own. Sometimes in tools in this class, like it doesn't have this spring that opens it. So you have to like almost pull it apart again. And that kind of sucks. And of course, it has the knife. And I like that the knife is like one hand opening that you can open with. But the whole thing is super tiny. So I don't know. I'm going to carry this for a little bit. I like my little multi-tools.
Yeah, I like it too.
And then this side's a hammer, which obviously you're not driving nails with it or anything.
Well, everything's a hammer.
Tent stakes and little shit like that you can hit with this end, which is meant to be pounded on. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it is neat.
Anyway.
A little bottle opener there.
Yeah.
On your hammer. for camping, I'm sure.
So it's pretty small. I got another. Hold on. I have one more.
I don't have any Leathermans. Or no, I bet I do downstairs in my toolbox. I don't know. Do you, Kyle?
This will just be a second.
No, I don't have any of that stuff. My dad always carried a Leatherman. He had like the big one. I don't know, probably the biggest one, the thing that like flips open and does all the nonsense. But I never carried one. I just have a bag of tools.
Mm-hmm.
What I normally carry is a flashlight and a Leatherman. And they kind of go next to each other, and this is the space they take in your pocket. This is the form factor. Cool. This one is different. It's long and it's thin. And it doesn't do as much shit, but it has a knife that opens like this. So it's actually a fixed blade knife. It's not foldable. It locks in. The knife comes like this deep into it. And to some people, having it fixed blade is worth a little more. It can't bend and close on your fingers or anything like that. Cool. It has another little thing here. It's a flathead, but the ends are tapered, so it kind of fits in a Phillips head too. And a bottle opener, if that's cool to you. And then this side is a flashlight.
Ah, my eyes.
Is that as good as the independent flashlight?
No, it's not. In some ways, it's better. Some people value having a AAA battery because they sell them at like every gas station everywhere at any time. Whereas my other one is a rechargeable like USB cord that you need to have with a little magnet. Like if you don't bring the charger, you're kind of fucked. Whereas this one, you can always, buy a new battery. But I don't know. I'm into my little knives. I wasn't sure if other people would find that interesting. But
no, I like that stuff.
Blade.
I like gadgets in general. That's why I've got my my spork in there.